When a heart breaks, the world does not always notice. The sun rises, the days move forward, people continue with their routines, and life keeps unfolding as if nothing has changed. But inside you everything changed. Inside you a silence formed that no one can fully understand unless they have walked through loss themselves. And when the Christmas season arrives, that silence grows louder, sharper, more emotional. For many people, the world sees Christmas as a joyful time, a season of celebrations, music, cheer, gatherings, and bright lights. But for someone who carries loss in their heart, Christmas can suddenly become a mirror that reflects everything that is missing. Yet something sacred happens in that very pain, something tender, something quietly powerful. Christmas, with all its warmth and meaning, does something that no other season can do. It begins to heal. Not by erasing the memory or removing the ache, but by gently reminding the heart that love still exists, that hope still breathes, and that life still holds beauty even after loss tries to convince you otherwise. Loss changes a person. It changes how you see the world. It changes what you value. It changes the way you love, the way you think, the way you breathe. When you lose someone, whether through death, distance, betrayal, or life's unexpected turns, it feels like a part of you has been cut away. You wake up and reach for a presence that is no longer there. You speak words meant for someone who cannot hear them. You hold memories that feel heavier than the present, and suddenly everything feels divided into two time periods, before the loss and after the loss. But Christmas, in its quiet power, walks into that deep division and begins to stitch something back together. It does not pretend that pain is easy. It does not tell you to forget. It does not demand that you stop grieving. Instead, Christmas whispers something far more gentle, something your heart desperately needs. It whispers that love is still alive. It tells you that the story of your heart did not end with loss. It reminds you that even broken pieces can reflect light. The wounds of loss are not physical wounds that time alone can heal. They are emotional and spiritual wounds, wounds that shape your thinking, your identity, your courage. These wounds are felt in moments of silence, in sudden memories, in unexpected triggers that bring tears without warning. You may think you have moved on, only to find yourself crying while looking at an old picture or hearing a familiar song. And that is okay. That is human. That is love speaking, not weakness. Christmas comes into your life not to remove the wound, but to bring warmth to it. Think about it. Every Christmas symbol represents something deeper, something healing, something meant to touch the heart. The lights remind us that darkness never wins. The music reminds us that even sad hearts can still sing. The gatherings, even when incomplete, remind us that connection still matters. The giving reminds us that love has not run out. And the story at the center of Christmas reminds us that God steps into human pain and brings hope exactly where it hurts the most. There is a reason why Christmas feels emotional for many people. It is because Christmas operates on the level of the heart, not the mind. You can tell yourself, logically, that you should be strong. You can tell yourself not to think about the past. You can tell yourself to keep moving, but your heart listens to deeper truths. Your heart remembers love. And Christmas touches the heart in a way that makes it impossible to forget that love still matters. Loss tries to convince you that love is dangerous, that opening your heart is risky, that caring deeply will only lead to pain again. But Christmas brings a different message. It tells you that love is worth the risk. It tells you that you were made to love, even after being broken. It tells you that the love you once had is still part of your story, not as a wound, but as a gift. The wound of loss teaches you the fragility of life, and in that awareness, something beautiful happens. You begin to appreciate the people who are still here. You begin to see their value more clearly. You begin to give more freely, speak more kindly, hold more gently. Christmas nurtures that change. It encourages you to express love, to mend relationships, to reach out, to forgive, to offer warmth even when you feel cold inside. This is the healing work that Christmas does slowly, quietly, but surely. Healing does not always mean that the pain disappears. Healing means that the pain no longer controls you. Healing means that the memories stop crushing you and instead begin strengthening you. Healing means that the love you once gave does not fade into sorrow, but grows into wisdom, compassion, and sensitivity toward others. During Christmas, people often feel the presence of their loved ones more intensely. The memories come back. The images return. The traditions bring a mix of joy and sadness. But Christmas teaches you something important. You do not have to run from those memories. They are not there to hurt you. They are there to remind you of how deeply you loved. They are there to remind you that your ability to love was not lost, even though the person is gone. Christmas teaches you to honor those memories, not avoid them, because every memory is a gift. Every moment you shared was a blessing. And the fact that it hurts now is evidence that what you had was real, meaningful, and precious. Christmas does not ask you to stop missing anyone. It simply asks you not to let the missing take away your ability to cherish what remains. The beauty of Christmas is that it does not demand perfection from you. You can cry and still be strong. You can feel lonely and still be loved. You can miss someone and still move forward. You can have a wounded heart and still celebrate the beauty around you. Christmas accepts all of that. It allows room for tears as well as joy. It welcomes both sadness and hope. It embraces the broken as well as the healed. Christmas teaches you that love is the only thing the world cannot take from you. You may lose people, opportunities, dreams, chapters, seasons, but the love you carry remains untouched. It becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of your character. It becomes the foundation of how you move through the world. Even when you feel weak, that love becomes strength. Even when you feel lost, that love becomes a compass. Over time, Christmas helps you understand that the wound of loss is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign of connection. It is proof that your life has been touched by someone worth remembering, and instead of trying to hide that wound, Christmas invites you to honor it. To see it not as a flaw, but as a mark of love. Healing is not a moment, it is a journey. Some years feel easier, some feel heavier, and some feel like you are starting from the beginning again. But Christmas encourages you to keep walking. Christmas reminds you that healing is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about learning to live with both the love and the loss together, without letting one overshadow the other. Think about how many people feel alone during Christmas, people who lost parents, people who lost children, people who lost relationships, people who lost friendships, people who lost hope. You are not the only one carrying pain, and that is why the message of Christmas is so powerful. Because in a world where people are silently hurting, Christmas becomes a place where hearts can rest, where souls can breathe, where pain can soften. No matter where you are emotionally, Christmas meets you there. Christmas teaches you to reach out to others, because in giving love, your own heart heals. When you comfort someone else, you feel comfort. When you offer kindness, you feel warmth. When you share compassion, you feel connection. Love multiplies. It does not run out. The more you give, the more you receive. This is why Christmas heals. It heals by making you part of something bigger than your pain. It heals by reminding you that your story is not over. It heals by showing you that even broken hearts still shine. It heals by awakening hope, sometimes in the smallest ways, sometimes in the biggest. The healing does not come from the lights, but from the message behind them. It does not come from the songs, but from the truth they carry. It does not come from the gifts, but from the love they represent. Christmas heals by reconnecting you with the deepest truth of life. That love never dies. And that love, whether shared in the past or given in the present, is what helps you rise again. It gives you strength to keep living, to keep caring, to keep hoping. Christmas gently guides you toward a new chapter, even if you are not ready to turn the page fully. It does not rush you, it simply walks with you. The wounds of loss may remain as part of your story, but they do not have to control the rest of your life. They can become reminders of who you loved, why you loved, and how deeply you can still love today. Christmas is the season that teaches you this truth with more clarity than any other moment of the year. So if your heart is hurting, if memories are heavy, if the empty spaces feel too big, let Christmas speak to you softly. Let it remind you that the light is still shining. Let it remind you that healing is still possible. Let it remind you that love is still present. And let it remind you that the story of your heart, no matter how wounded, is still beautifully unfinished. Because Christmas heals the wounds of loss, not by removing the pain, but by filling the heart with love strong enough to carry it. Love is one of the most mysterious forces in the human experience. We feel it long before we understand it. We carry it long after we think it has left us, and in the moments when life breaks our hearts, love becomes the very thing we question the most. When someone we cherish is taken from us, whether by distance, by circumstance, or by death, we often believe that love has ended, that it has disappeared, that it has somehow been buried beneath memories we cannot touch anymore. But the truth, the deep and quiet truth that time eventually reveals, is that love does not end. It transforms, it changes shape, it grows stronger in places we thought were ruined. It finds new ways to exist, new ways to reach us, new ways to speak to our hearts. In the painful months or years after losing someone, it is easy to think the story is over. It is easy to believe that the chapter has closed and that everything beautiful has been taken away. Grief makes the world look smaller. It tightens our chest, dims our vision, and steals the softness from our days. It makes us wonder how we will ever smile again, how we will ever love again, how we will ever feel whole again. But grief, as heavy as it is not the end of love. Grief is the proof that love was real. It is the echo of love, the shadow of love, the reminder that something beautiful lived in our hearts. And because love is spiritual, because it is not made of anything the world can destroy, it never truly leaves us. Think of a candle. When you share its flame with another, the original flame does not disappear. It grows. It multiplies. It shines in places it did not shine before. Love works the same way. When someone leaves our life, their flame remains. It burns in our memories, in our choices, in the way we treat others. It burns in the wisdom we gained from their presence. And it burns in the strength we found when we had to learn to live without them. Love transforms in the way we speak. We begin to use the words they once told us. Love transforms in the way we care. We begin to show kindness the way they once showed us. Love transforms in the way we forgive. We learn to release bitterness because they taught us the value of peace. Even in the quiet moments, when the world stands still and the ache returns, love is still transforming. It is teaching, shaping, softening, maturing, illuminating. You see, when a person leaves your life, they do not take the love with them. They leave it behind, woven into your very being. You carry it with you. You walk with it. You grow with it. You become someone new because of it. And that is the mystery of love's transformation. It becomes part of your identity. You do not lose the love. You become the love. There are nights when memories feel heavier than hope. There are days when your mind wanders to the past and your heart aches for what once was. And in those moments, you might think you have gone backward. You might think you're stuck, but you're not. These moments are signs of transformation. They show that your heart is still alive, still feeling, still holding, still learning. They show that your love was too deep to disappear. People will tell you to move on, but love does not work that way. Love does not pack its bags and leave the moment someone is gone. Love stays, love lingers, love grows roots in the soul. And instead of fading, it becomes something more powerful than it ever was when life was simple. It becomes wisdom. It becomes compassion. It becomes the ability to see others who are hurting and say, I understand you. I know this pain, and you're not alone. That is how love transforms, by widening your heart. Loss has a strange way of expanding us. It breaks us open, yes, but the opening becomes a doorway through which deeper understanding enters, a doorway through which strength is born, a doorway through which we learn that love is not a possession, it is a gift that does not disappear when someone leaves, but instead continues to shine inside us, guiding us, shaping us, and teaching us how to love in ways we never knew before. Think of the moments when you catch yourself smiling at a memory. Think of the moments when you repeat something they once told you. Think of the moments when you help someone else because you remember how they once helped you. This is love transforming. This is love continuing. This is love refusing to die. Sometimes the transformation is subtle. It shows up in small acts of kindness. It shows up in moments when you choose peace over conflict. It shows up in the way you appreciate things you once took for granted. Other times, the transformation is profound. It changes your direction in life. It awakens a calling. It pushes you toward your purpose. It reveals strengths you never realized you had. Many people discover their greatest compassion after they have been broken. Many discover their greatest courage after they have been wounded. Many discover their deepest love only after they have known deep loss. This is because pain clarifies what matters. It strips away the trivial and brings the eternal into focus. It reminds us that life is short, that people are precious, that moments should be embraced, and so love transforms by becoming wiser, deeper, more meaningful. Some people believe that when someone dies, their love dies with them, but that is not true. Love outlives breath. It outlives presence. It outlives time. The love you shared becomes part of your soul's fabric. It becomes part of your emotional DNA. It becomes a guiding force you carry into every room you enter. This is why sometimes you react to situations with a wisdom that did not come from you, but from the person who loved you. Love whispers, it nudges, it inspires, it teaches even in absence. There is a part of you today that exists only because someone you loved once stood beside you, held your hand, spoke to your heart, or walked with you through life. Their influence did not vanish. It transformed into your character. And even though they may no longer be here physically, they live on in the way you think, in the way you love, in the way you give. This transformation is not always easy. Sometimes it requires tears. Sometimes it requires silence. Sometimes it requires a long season of healing when you do not recognize yourself. But even in your most fragile moments, even when you feel as though nothing good can come out of the pain, transformation is happening. You are being reshaped. You are being refined. You are being softened in places where you were once hardened. Love does not end. It becomes a deeper part of the soul. The transformation of love also teaches us not to hold grudges. Life is too short to cling to anger. Love reminds us that compassion carries more power than resentment. When you lose someone, the petty things suddenly become invisible. You begin to understand that only love mattered, only kindness mattered, only gentleness mattered, and so, even in grief, love becomes a teacher. In time, you begin to see the world differently. You listen more carefully, you speak more thoughtfully, you value moments more deeply, you appreciate people more sincerely. You love more intentionally. Why? Because you understand how fragile everything is. You understand how sacred each connection is. And so love transforms into gratitude. Love also transforms into strength. When someone you love is no longer by your side, you are forced to walk through life with a kind of courage you never needed before. You learn to stand when you feel like falling. You learn to rise when sorrow tries to pull you down. You learn to keep going even when the world feels empty, and with every step you take, love becomes the force that carries you. Sometimes people wonder, how can I go on without them? But the answer is found in the transformation. You don't go on without them, you go on with the part of them that now lives inside you. You go on with the lessons, the memories, the laughter, the wisdom. You go on with the love they planted in your heart, and that love becomes your strength. There will be days when the transformation feels incomplete. Days when you miss them so much it hurts to breathe. Days when the past calls louder than the future. But these moments do not mean you are failing. They mean you are still human. Transformation is not immediate. It unfolds slowly, quietly, gently, and every tear, every ache, every longing is part of that unfolding. In time the pain softens. In time the memories bring peace instead of anguish. In time the love that once felt like loss begins to feel like guidance. You begin to see them not as gone, but as carried, not as lost, but as living through you, and you realize that love didn't leave. It simply changed form. Love may no longer take the shape of a voice you can hear, a hand you can hold, or a presence you can touch. But it remains now as strength, as wisdom, as character, as compassion, as purpose. And one day you will find that the love you thought was gone has become the very force that helps you love again. The person you lost becomes the reason you open your heart to others. Their memory becomes the reason you show kindness, the reason you forgive freely, the reason you embrace life instead of fearing it. The transformation becomes a blessing, a quiet blessing that grows with each passing year. Love, you see, is not a moment. It is a journey. It travels with you, it evolves with you, it grows as you grow, and even when people leave your life, love continues traveling, carried by the one who remains. This is why love never truly ends. The form changes, the expression changes, the experience changes. But the essence, the eternal essence, lasts forever. That is the beautiful mystery. Love doesn't end. Love transforms, love continues, love lives on. There are moments in life when the heart becomes quieter than usual, not because it has nothing left to say, but because it has carried something too heavy for too long. Some wounds do not scream, they whisper. Some losses do not break you loudly, they break you silently, piece by piece, until you can hardly recognize the person you were before the pain came into your life. When you lose people you love, whether through distance, betrayal, misunderstanding, or death, your heart begins to build walls. Not because you are cold, not because you do not care, but because you have loved deeply, and that love has cost you something. It takes courage to admit that you are afraid to feel again, afraid to trust again, afraid to love again. But life, sooner or later, brings you to a crossroads where you must choose. Remain closed off to protect your heart, or open your heart again and discover a love greater than the pain you have lived through. That is where the message of Christmas enters, not as a holiday, not as decoration, not as tradition, but as a reminder that your heart was created to love. And when you open it again, even after breaking, something miraculous begins. You rediscover the strength you didn't know you still had. You rediscover hope that you thought you had lost forever. You rediscover purpose, beauty, compassion, and connection. And slowly, gently, quietly, a new love begins to grow where pain once lived. Opening your heart again is the greatest gift you can give both to yourself and to the world around you, even if it feels risky, even if it feels vulnerable, even if it feels impossible right now. Because when you open your heart, you allow healing to enter, you allow life to enter, you allow love to enter in ways you never expected. There are many people who walk around breathing but not truly living. They wake up, go through the motions, complete their routines, smile when required, and yet remain emotionally numb. Not because they don't want happiness, but because something happened along the way that made them shut down. It could have been a heartbreak. It could have been the loss of someone they believed they could never live without. It could have been a betrayal so deep that trusting again feels impossible. It could have been years of disappointment, rejection, or loneliness. But somewhere inside every hurt person there is a longing not just to be loved, but to love again. Because love is not just something you receive, it is something you give, and giving love awakens something powerful inside you. It awakens humanity, it awakens compassion, it awakens purpose, it awakens hope. Even the heart that has been shattered can love again. Sometimes it is the broken heart that loves the deepest, because it knows what loss feels like. It knows what emptiness feels like. It knows how valuable real love truly is. Pain has a strange way of teaching us what truly matters. When you have walked through fire, you recognize warmth differently. When you have sat in darkness, you understand light differently. When you have experienced loneliness, you appreciate connection differently. And when you have lost someone, you love differently, not lightly, not casually, not carelessly, but with a deeper, wiser, more grateful kind of love. But there is something you must understand. Healing does not begin when the pain disappears. Healing begins the moment you choose to open your heart again. That single decision, even if it is made trembling, even if it is made slowly, begins to rebuild everything that was torn down inside you. There are people who think that closing off their hearts protects them, but walls do not only keep pain out, they also keep love out. They keep joy out. They keep peace out. They keep comfort out. A protected heart becomes a lonely heart, and a lonely heart eventually becomes a hardened heart. Life was never meant to be lived that way. The greatest risk you will ever take is to love again after you've been hurt. But it is also the greatest victory you will ever experience. Because every time you open your heart after pain, you prove that hope is stronger than fear, that love is stronger than loss, and that the human spirit is stronger than anything that has tried to break it. There is someone out there who needs your love, someone who needs your compassion, your kindness, your patience, your forgiveness, your presence, your encouragement. Someone who is praying for exactly what you carry inside. And if you keep your heart closed, you withhold from the world something beautiful, something that only you can give. Opening your heart again does not mean forgetting the people you have lost. It does not mean erasing the memories or pretending the hurt never happened. It means honoring the love you shared with them by allowing that same love to flow out of you toward others. It means choosing to let their influence live on through your kindness, your generosity, your gentleness, your ability to love again. The love you give today becomes the legacy of the love you once received. Many people say, "I will love again when I am fully healed." But healing does not come before love. Healing comes through love. Love is the medicine that repairs what pain has damaged. Love is the light that enters the cracks. Love is the warmth that melts the ice around the heart. Love is the new beginning that grows from the ashes of old endings. Sometimes you open your heart not because it is ready, but because life invites you to. A child reaches out for your hand. A friend sits beside you in silence. A stranger smiles at you with gentle kindness. Someone forgives you. Someone encourages you. Someone believes in you when you can't believe in yourself. These moments are reminders that the world still has goodness and that you still have goodness within you. And slowly, without forcing it, without rushing it, you begin to open up again. You begin to feel again. You begin to hope again. You begin to love again. Opening your heart again is not an act of weakness. It is an act of courage. Anyone can stay closed off. Anyone can avoid risks. Anyone can hide behind emotional walls. But it takes extraordinary strength to say, I have been hurt, but I will not let pain define me. I will love again, not because it is easy, but because my heart was created for love. There are moments when you will feel afraid, moments when old memories return, moments when your heart trembles, moments when you question whether opening up again is worth it. But what you will learn is this: the fear fades, the memories soften, the trembling stops, and love grows stronger than all of it. And one day you will look back and realize that the greatest gift you ever gave yourself was the courage to open your heart again. Even after the disappointment, even after the heartbreak, even after the loss, even after the silence, even after the tears, even after the pain, because love is the only force powerful enough to rebuild what life has torn down. Love is the only gift that multiplies every time you give it away. Love is the only treasure that grows when shared. Love is the only reason the world keeps moving, healing, hoping, and rising again after every storm. There will always be reasons to close your heart. The world is full of pain, cruelty, misunderstanding, and disappointment. But the world is also full of compassion, beauty, kindness, forgiveness, and redemption. The side you choose to focus on becomes the side that shapes your heart. A closed heart sees only danger. An open heart sees possibility. A closed heart protects itself from hurt. An open heart allows itself to be healed. A closed heart survives. An open heart lives. And life is far too precious to only survive it. You deserve to love again. You deserve to be loved again. You deserve to feel something beautiful again. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not have to imprison you. Your pain may have changed you, but it does not have to control you. Your losses may have wounded you, but they do not have to harden you. The courage to open your heart again is the bridge between who you were and who you can still become. And that is the gift you give yourself, the gift that transforms. But it is also the gift you give to others, the gift that heals. The world is waiting for the love that only you can offer. Someone's life will be brighter because you opened your heart again. Someone will feel less alone because you chose courage over fear. Someone will heal because your love reached them at the right moment. So open your heart again, not because you are unbroken, but because love is stronger than everything that tried to break you. And in choosing to love again, you give the world and yourself the greatest gift of all.